Hunters, welcome to the New World. I'm super excited to delve into more New World content, and for those of you who follow my channel, you know that I love to play games with different builds that I can customize to fit different gameplay styles. I did a lot of these for Monster Hunter, and I'll be doing a bunch for New World for the foreseeable future. Today we're going to go over what I call the Stunning Spear build. I'm putting this video out on release day, so if you're watching this in the future, there may be a follow-up build video or subsequent combination of weapon build videos that I plan on doing. So this is a day one video. It'll be slightly theoretical until I can grind the final few levels of the weapon, but my goal here is to really give you guys a direction to push your grind towards. So let's jump straight into the build. The spear has some fantastic abilities in my opinion, particularly the abilities to stun foes quite well, players and AI. This build is going to focus on stunning enemies and then inflicting some damage over time through bleeding, combined with the heavy attacks. So it's a very multi-step attack build. The abilities you want for this class are 10 points into the Zoner group and the remaining into the Impaler group. Now I will preface this by saying that this is going to be focused more towards a low to mid-level monster grind and sort of any monsters that you're trying to just grind over and over again for materials. I'm not sure how it's going to play against bosses. Some bosses may be impervious to stuns or knockbacks, so there are going to be some downsides with this build, but as every build is, there's always some sort of downside, so that's just to keep in mind for you guys. So let's start with the main active skills. The sweep from the Zoner group, pretty decent damage, and it's going to focus on knocking down enemies. The second main active skill will be the Skewer, which will launch an attack that inflicts a bleed effect. For most low to mid-level monsters, the bleed is applied completely directly. Again, we haven't tried it against bosses, and even in PvP, I'm not sure if other PvP or other players will be able to raise their bleed resistance enough to counteract this, but for now, it does apply fairly consistently. The final main active skill that you want is the Vault Kick, which is going to be able to apply a stun effect to an enemy for a short duration. Now with these three, you can then alternate between Vault Kicking and Sweeping to knock down your enemies or stun them, and that reduces the time that you will get hit while being able to inflict the bleed effect, which is a damage over time, onto the enemy. So again, probably not good for bossing, but I have yet to confirm. We'll see with New World just launching, but it's definitely a good grinding build. The passives that you'll want to strive for will start with the Zoner group. Deadly Reach is the first one, boosting crit damage when enemies are 3+ meters away, which isn't really far, but it works very well with this build because you're going to be doing a lot of charged heavy attacks, which has a lunge built into it. After every stun, either the Vault Kick or the Sweep, you have a chance to really apply that heavy attack, which is your key damage. Tying into this, we'll move on to the next passive, which is Refreshing Reach. This reduces your spear cooldowns after every successful heavy hit. This will be key for you to cycle between the vault and the sweep attacks to make sure your enemy is paralyzed as much as possible. So you can see here in this clip that the heavy hits really do reduce a decent amount and help maintain that cycle of my skills going back and forth from one to the other. The next passive that you'll want is the Evasive Maneuvers, which again reduces your stamina while evading. Now with this build, you will most likely be getting into a pattern of getting the stuns, then getting a heavy hit, 1 or 2 in, and then you'll need to evade the enemy's incoming follow-up attack. So using less stamina means that you can dodge more if needed. It'll also play out when you upgrade the Zoner special skill at the bottom. This skill is called the Reserve Strength, and this applies 25% more damage when you have max stamina. Now given the fact that the spear abilities do not consume stamina and actually recharge your stamina as you use them, many of your heavy hits that follow a stun or a knock will be when you have max stamina. So applying this special skill at the bottom, giving that 25% more damage, is basically just free damage. The next two passives you want to strive for are the Sweep Tree. Just finish off that tree. Since you're going to be relying on this skill quite a bit, maxing out this ability is key. And the final perk, the Coup de Grace, seems pretty freaking awesome in my opinion. Just extra damage and also a very quick way to follow up your stun with an attack. Next, you'll want the Merciless Strength perk, which again, you'll be knocking down targets, so you want extra damage against knocked targets. Defensive Stance follows that, which will also be useful in case you get caught after a heavy hit. You have some defense to keep your health up. The final two for the Zoner will be the Invigorating Crits and the Strength Conditioning, both again to boost your stamina recovery to make sure that final Zoner perk is enabled and always consistently active when you're doing heavy hits. Now I will say here, if your playstyle is more conservative and you aren't dropping below 50% stamina as you level up your character, change the strength conditioning perk to the first row one called Deadly Consistency. That'll just reward you if you have extra time or space and you do a couple of extra heavy hits straight away, you'll get some extra damage out of it. Now looking out to the Impaler side, you'll want the second passive of the Vault Kick. That increases your damage by 50% on all following attacks after the Vault Kick, if it lands successfully. And for the most part, many targets will be stunned, unless again they have grit or they're a special boss. Either way, most likely you'll be doing a follow-up attack, so extra damage would be wonderful. Next, you want to max out the Skewer attack, since the final perk of that tree extends your bleeding effect. Now bleeding does 10% of your weapon damage for 10 seconds, which when it adds up is quite a bit. Extending this to 15 seconds works really well with the next passive, which is called the Exposed Wounds. This grants higher crit chance against bleeding enemies. Now I will say that this perk may not be needed if your weapon later on, like if you get a higher level weapon that has a good amount of crit. This may not be necessary, you could change it out if you need it, and if so, I would recommend the final perk in the Vault Kick tree, since that reduces your cooldown abilities even more, letting you spam the stun and knock attacks even further. The final perk is in the second column, called the Exacerbating Crits. Now this extends the debuffs and damage over time, which might prove to really drain an enemy really quick. I can see this being very useful in PvP, which could hurt an enemy quite a bit and push them into a state of retreat to heal, meaning you have them on the ropes. And that'll be really it for this build, guys. So a pretty good low to mid-level monster and even a player build. Again, I don't know how it's going to play out against bosses, but I will test it as we go on through this week and I'll let you guys know. I'll put out an update video. Let me know if you guys have tried the spear in New World yet and what are your thoughts on this weapon and the build. Actually, since this is my first video since launch, let me know in general, guys. What are you thinking? What do you like about New World? Let me know in the comments below. I'm very excited to play this game. It's been a very long time since I played an MMO, so hope you guys are enjoying it as well as I am, and I can't wait to see where this game goes. Until next time, everyone, stay safe, be happy, and keep hunting. Skewer Sensei is out.